Hi. Good morning and welcome back to Berg Mountains Optional University. Discussing Anglo-American literature, we do hashtag Estoiles of Liberty, where here in this section the U.S. Constitution highlights Native American Enlightenment theory. Won't you come along with us?
7th hashtag Estoile of Liberty 7. American Native Enlightenment theory. July 4, 1776 to August 6, 1806. King is an English title, Rex Latin, Rey Spanish, Roi French, Brenin Welsh, König German, Malik Arabic, Konge Danish, Tsar Russian, Rey Filipino, Basilias Greek, Sultan Maltese and Nhà Vietnamese. In theory, crowned and subject to Pontiff Maximus in the person of the Pope, where subject to time and space, man as king rationally chooses longevity and his perpetuity in the world with the word. Autonomous in the wilderness, protection from nature was architect's job through craftsmen, while of man from himself was king's duty through nobility. As popes issued architect's stamps, they theoretically would grant king's authority before enlightenment. For the Western world, the Holy Roman Emperor would enforce a pope's better interests, ensuring domestic tranquility as uprises had to be suppressed and tyranny necessarily defeated. This system was like beehives in peace, collected taxes in kingdoms, and men were transformed to numbers, wherein enlightened men were more with art and slaves to no one. The Roman Empire dissolved in 1806 on August 6 with Francis II's abdication, but Roman taxonomy became culture and continued in Catholicism with those voluntarily non-resistant. As per Tien's the First Amendment, non-resistance is slavish, but lamb aren't lions. Resistance begins with thought. Thought comes from interpretation, and collective thought is more productive. Like a machine, cordwainers, farmers, tanners, cowboys, and lumberjacks work hard but are more as man is mind. In the colonies, religious diversity allowed Protestants not just freedom but space wherewith and within which they grew. Outside is always greater than inside, as Masonry is a secret fraternal school where freedom of thought precedes that of speech, as American Enlightenment was sparked by European with Penn's rhetoric constitutionally revolutionary.
Native American Enlightenment theory began, perhaps, somewhere in the wilderness, but inside dwellings either unfinished or below standard in the wilderness by men furthest from kings and popes. Why do we say that? Well, that's simple, and it's because women can't live outside, or should I say don't. Standards of living have men fall in superlative castes of good, better, and best, where subjects are good, noblemen and marquises better, and kings of legions best. Having had lost, not wishing to relieve yesterday, heads of one's legion bow to victors in prayer and legion. Thus the term religion refers to those previously lost now found in salvation with the King of Kings. In the person of the Pope, kings victorious, married to queens, afford compassion to those opposed and injured after war, where reborn in Victor Emmanuel defeated are victorious with everlasting life through belief. Kingdoms have limited indoor space, where those loyal are awarded inside doors, and time to raise future generations of fighting men and breeding women. Thinking everyone has mothers married to fathers and food on tables in homes wasn't, couldn't, wouldn't, and won't, as outside is always greater than indoors. We think everyone is married and every child is legitimate, but that's just not true, only a perspective of a sheltered child. Further from the Pope and / or crown architecture finds permanence stamped, as those married children continue legacies, but dwellings and children were also unfinished and illegitimate. Without stamps and marriage licenses, men built and bred, but outside states and churches where war levels the playing field. The issue being controlling the pet population. Popes and kings knew not how many in the wilderness there were reading, writing and interpreting scripture for themselves. The Reformation made questioning authority possible, when enlightenment was discussed and written of inside under Greek 5.
Man executes but doesn't plan outside, except either in augury, receiving omens from observance of bird patterns, or strategery, audible juxtaposition of existing plans with others. We schedule plans inside where free men may articulate, and his liberty can be protected from nature by masonry and better appreciated. Where freedom of thought precedes that of speech, while separate books resting on shelves from nature, as the catacombs of memory preserve knowledge in our minds. Native American Enlightenment theory identified this inside/outside relationship, where descendants of Englishmen and other immigrants realized the unlikely return from whence forefathers came, the biological difference from indigenous peoples, and a necessity to form a more perfect union, whose thought preceded its written word and spoken speech. Taxed without being represented, caged birds sing, and man from that divine part of man slavery tries to suppress, wrote the U.S. Constitution in 1776, explaining why the caged bird sings.
European thought sparked the American Enlightenment, which drove constitutional Penn's rhetoric revolutionarily. Between law and order of kings and the Pope there was a lot of movement, as studying biology differentiated Angelos from Saxons and Jutes from Gentiles. Between purebred Clydesdales and Arabian horses are many multiple times more born in the wilderness. From the crown and papacy, men with no other reference interpreted scripture for themselves, leading and following in Tani Strei, where pondering liberty was measured in life, without it death. The measure of Pontiff Maximus is literary, as in whatever is said is from the written word, whereas kings may or may not use victory in battle as an only proof with right reason is absent. Washington was not a first son but third, so primogeniture wasn't to his advantage, as so many of the younger generation who in the wilderness founded communities, subsistence farmed and fruitfully multiplied. President Trump promoted building the wall to protect those who crossed the border yesterday from those who cross it today, so temporal seniority may be maintained. Sure, there is land and opportunity here for everyone, but substandard living in similar dwellings breed rebellion, and tomorrow's order won't supersede yesterday's until revolution is the last of 56 signatories signed a Declaration of Independence.
In masonry, mankind finds permanence. Wooden structures lack both, protecting ladies, dividing them from women in nature, outside. Light comes from within, and correct speech is superseded by thought, rendering one enlightened. Sparked by European Enlightenment, thought drove continental pen's rhetoric to literary self-defense with constitutional documents of perpetuity and revolution.
That concludes all the information we have for you this time. In the next session we explore the 8th style of liberty in Anglo-American literature with Ralph Waldo Emerson. We can't wait to see you there. Thank you for your time and consideration.